So good morning all, my name is Rishabh Shukla and I would like to welcome you all in today's webinar, which is about teaching entrepreneurship in schools. The webinar is organized by Management and Entrepreneurship and Professional Skills Council in association with the Entrepreneurship School. We have with us today an eminent set of speakers who will be talking about the importance of introducing entrepreneurship in the school curriculum and how can we help young kids to develop an entrepreneurship mindset and how can we help them think outside the box and nurture their unconventional talents and skills. Have with us Mr. Sanjeeva Shivesh, who is the founder of the Entrepreneurship School. I would like to request him to please take over the mic and proceed, help us with the webinar.
Right, Rishabh, thanks for the quick introduction, and to all our friends, good morning all. Welcome to you and thanks to everyone for being on time. We have more than 120 people as I speak, 121 attending the webinar, and we have a great panel of speakers today. Before I proceed, one or two quick points which I want to make. To all the people who are attending the webinar, may I request that in normal course, keep your microphone on mute mode, right? I know that sometimes it gets unmuted, but that's fine. Try and keep it on mute mode as much as possible. We will also encourage you to post your question in the chat box. Independence. And to celebrate this occasion, Management, Entrepreneurship and Professional Sector Skill Council, they came up with this lovely idea of having this webinar on teaching entrepreneurship in schools. So entrepreneurship is nothing but a true form of independence, right? And in that, we all know that entrepreneurs are liked by people in society. They are respected by all. More importantly, they are needed for the growth of society, and they keep the liquidity of society alive. So that is the context. Now, in that context, the real challenge that we face is do we at schools prepare students to become entrepreneurs, right? And the hard answer could be really unsettling for all of us, because what we do is prepare everyone to become employees, and that is the paradigm that we want to discuss today. And to discuss that paradigm, we have a panel of experts. They are outstanding in their field. And we have to begin with Colonel Anil Pokhriyal, who is the Chief Executive Officer of MEPSC, Management, Entrepreneurship, Professional Sector Skill Council. We also have Professor V.S. Mehrotra, who's from PSSCIB, Bhopal. Now, he's been at the frontier of creating the vocational education's frameworks, NSQF, and many such things. And those of you who know PSSCIB, they are the body under NCERT, and that's the leading body of knowledge, and they are at the forefront of creating the frameworks for schools, the teaching frameworks, and that's the expertise Professor V.S. Mehrotra brings to the party. Then I have a lady, right? Someone who's been doing something very interesting. Her name is Shivani Singh Kapoor, and she's the founder of Thinkstartup. And she's been providing entrepreneurship education to school students for a few years now. And finally, I have my colleague, Mr. Masroor Lodi, who's co-founder of the Entrepreneurship School in Gurgaon. So that is a panel of experts. This panel, let me tell you, is one of the best that we can have in this country, who can talk and discuss this topic threadbare, and then we try and see where we achieve, right? So friends, the way I have structured the conversation is is I'll allow everyone to, all the panelists to speak about a minute about their organizations. Then there are 4 questions that we will be discussing. And those questions are about the serious elephant which is there in the room, which is, should entrepreneurship be taught in schools, right? The second question is about the challenges that would be there in teaching entrepreneurship in schools. And finally, we are going to look at the way forward. So that's the broad structure. And at each place, I would request all of you to put your questions in the chat box, and I'm going to pick up those questions, and we will also award the best question. Once the webinar is over, then we'll speak with the panel of experts and choose the best question, and we are going to make that announcement, right? So without much ado, Colonel Pokhriyal, a quick a minute introduction about what you do and about MEPSC.
Thank you, Mr. Shivesh and Rishabh previously. First and foremost, we are very glad to be as the co-host with the Entrepreneurship School, and I'm in the company of the esteemed panelists, Professor V.S. Mehrotra. Like Mr. Sanjeeva Shivesh mentioned, he is our guide and mentor as far as school vocational education is concerned in the country, and he is the leading light whom all sector skill councils, NSDC, school system looks up to him to give the guidance as to what kind of curriculum is to be prepared and what kind of initiatives have to be brought into the school system. And I'm thankful to be in the panel with Shivani and Masroor, and we really look forward to the engaging yet interesting discussion which will open us ways for the future, because this is definitely the biggest elephant in the room as far as the country is concerned. As you all know, the jobs being very, very finite, we really have to think as a country as to what is the way forward, with so many of youths coming and joining the higher education institutes after doing their classes at the senior secondary schools. The challenge here is that since the job is not going to be there, what do we do? So the best second option is to have, and which is actually the best option, to become a self-employed or an entrepreneur yourself. Now, there could be many types of entrepreneurship, which is what we are going to be discussing today. Now, where does Management, Entrepreneurship and Professional Skills Council come into the picture? We are one of the 37 sector skill councils looking after the management aspects, the sectors of management, office management, professional skills, entrepreneurship, training and assessment, and private security industry. So these are the mandated sectors for MEPSC, as we call it, and we are under the Ministry of Skill Development, which this government of the day came out about 5 years back as a separate ministry. Till in last 75 years, unfortunately, the government has not been able to come up with this idea and give the required impetus, which this government of the day has given. And in that sense, a lot of work has been done in last 10-12 years when the Skill India mission was launched, and these sector skill councils came up as the nodal industry, each representing their mandated sectors like ours, and they are galvanizing the resources, the energy, the knowledge, and the ask from the industry as to what is supposed to be done. Because all this while in the government, not because of anybody's fault, but then that focus being lacking, the entrepreneurship and the skilling has not been given the due importance. Now what has been done is a focused approach with numerous schemes at the central level and the state level. With this skill being central, a lot of missions have come up which are called as sector skill, state skill development mission. Going further down to the district scale, October 2020, the government of India further went down to the establishing of district skill committees. That is the kind of focus which is required to revive and move away from the structured education or even only education oriented or job oriented mindset of the country. So what is supposed to be done? What we are discussing today is that we really have to initiate a mass movement at the national level, wherein we should be doing something for the entrepreneurship, because there are innumerable examples going forward. First and foremost, if you all understand, in this year, in the first 6 months, 7 months of this financial year, this calendar year, we have got 21 unicorns, which is more than the number of unicorns which came up in 2020. And we don't have to only get enamored by the unicorns coming in, having the valuation more than $1 billion. The point here is there is enough opportunities, and as we go, if we tell you, see, as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, we have tied up with, in Delhi University, there are two colleges, Kirodimal College, if you all know, the famed college of Amitabh Bachchan in Delhi University, and Aurobindo, tied up with them for the entrepreneurship certificate course under the UGC laid down guidelines. Then we have also tied up with multiple universities. There is a Bharatiya Skill Development University in Rajasthan, Jaipur. Then there is a Chandigarh University in Chandigarh. There are multiple universities and multiple organizations like the Entrepreneurship School under Mr. Sanjeeva Shivesh and Masroor Lodi. They are our esteemed partner, and we are trying to make a mass movement wherein we join with the masses to bring up and to elevate the economy of the country and also well-being of the countrymen and youths. There is innumerable opportunities. Since this being only a small introduction, I would stop here and then we'll take the question as Mr. Shivesh has already outlined. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Colonel Pokhriyal. Professor Mehrotra, quick introduction, maybe a minute long introduction about what PSSCIB does.
A very good morning and namaskar to all of you. So at the outset, I would like to thank the Sector Skill Council for inviting me to this webinar. I think it's at the outset, I would like to thank the Sector Skill Council as well as the Entrepreneurship School for inviting me to this important webinar on teaching entrepreneurship in schools. And that's a very important aspect, and we have been dealing with as the organization under the National Council of Education, Research and Training, the PSS Central Institute of Vocational Education. So the full name is Pandit Sundarlal Sharma Central Institute of Vocational Education, and it's located in Bhopal. So we have a mandate for research, development, training, and extension. So these are the four domains where we are working for promotion of vocational education in the country. So although we are limited to the school sector, but we have been contributing to the higher education sector for example, preparing guidelines for the Bachelor in Vocational Education, the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, which is also coming up. So this CIB has been contributing to the development of curricula. Earlier we were doing competency-based curriculum. Now we are developing learning outcome-based curriculum for the students of vocational education. As you are all aware that now we have an integrated model where one vocational subject is being taken up by the students along with the general education subject. So we have already done the mainstreaming, which has been emphasized in the National Education Policy 2020. So this institute, although it's a very small institute having only 6 departments in some of the centers, like in agriculture, business and commerce, engineering and technology, health and paramedical, home science and hospitality management, and humanities. So these are the different departments that we have, but we have now focused on these sectors. Like, for example, the business and commerce departments dealing with retail sector, logistics, warehousing, transportation, and all those things. Similarly, agriculture, we have also included animal husbandry. So we have taken up job roles in animal health, so worker, so dairy farming, so dairy farmer. So those kinds of job roles also we have included besides the solanaceous crop cultivator or organic grower and other job roles that we have taken in agriculture. So we are expanding, we are trying to expand, but the limitation is of the faculty and staff, which we are also emphasizing. Like it's been taken up by the Ministry of Education that we need to strengthen PSSCIB. We are also the Univoc Center. UNIVOC is an international project of UNESCO, and the headquarters is in Bonn, Germany. We are one of the centers in India, and the pioneer center, you can say. And we have been working very closely with UNESCO on promotion of technical vocational education and training. So this is Colonel Anil Pokhriyalji has been with us. He has visited our institute, and I thank him for those kind words which he has said about me. And he has been very helpful to us all the way, the journey that we have taken since he has joined this Management and Entrepreneurship Sector Skill Council. And we are working very closely with him in promoting this not only management job roles and entrepreneurship, but also the security, because private security is with the Management Sector Skill Council. Since that Security Sector Skill Council was closed down, so all that work has come. So I would say that Management and Entrepreneurship Sector Council is doing a wonderful job, because they have taken so much of responsibility and they are delivering it also. So that's very important, whatever responsibility we take. And as entrepreneurs also, we need to be very conscious about our responsibility, the social responsibility that we have. That is one of the best quality of an entrepreneur. So beginning with that, I'll just close it with the introduction. And I once again thank all of you for being with us and all the participants for joining this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Mehrotra, for the lovely introduction and the great work that PSSCIB is doing. Can I ask my colleague Masroor Lodi to do a quick introduction?
Thank you, Shivesh, and good morning, everyone. We started the Entrepreneurship School back in 2013. Both Shivesh and I were thinking of creating something which is of great value to those who want to be entrepreneurs. But we just didn't want to be the incubation center or the acceleration center, because the nature of incubation or acceleration is such where you expect those people who have already started their journey of entrepreneurship to join. We said we need to have more and more entrepreneurs, and therefore we need to go a little deeper. And therefore, so we believe that education is an important vehicle to take entrepreneurship. In the last 9 years, we have been able to help build 200 plus ventures. And we have experienced the entire cycle of entrepreneurship. And we keep learning and discovering every day. So that's an important milestone that we are getting, and insights about those programs as we progress in the session. Just to give you a very brief idea, we are in the entrepreneurship space, entrepreneurship capability building space, and therefore we not just work with budding entrepreneurs, but we also work with a number of young ventures and growing ventures to help them achieve their vision. So there is a lot of things that we do for a number of organizations that could be of different sizes, but if they want to grow, they come to us, we work with them, and we help them grow their business and their impact. So I would stop here, and I will share more details about our work as we progress. Thank you, Shivesh.
Thanks, Masroor, and to all the people who have joined in now, welcome to the program. My only request is when you sign in, be mute, because it might disturb everyone else who's listening to the webinar. We have created a WhatsApp group. If you look at the chat box, there's a message, and on that WhatsApp group, you can receive communication about this seminar faster, quicker. You will have access to the video links. And to all the people, teachers who are attending, there'll be a certificate which will be sent to you at the completion of the program. E-certificate will be issued. So that is it. Now, may I request Shivani Singh Kapoor to introduce about the great work she's doing.
Thank you, Sanjeev. And thank you, Colonel Pokhriyal, for organizing this and bringing us all together under one platform. I think this is an area of huge passion personally for me and for our organization at Thinkstartup. We actually come from the world of startups. We are a team of entrepreneurs, startup mentors, angel investors, and we are now on a mission to create an entrepreneurial ecosystem for schools in India. We believe very strongly that the time to start this process is in the K-12 space, where thinking has not been boxed in, where students are at their creative best. And we also strongly believe that entrepreneurship can be taught. For the longest time, there was a perception that entrepreneurs are born, not made. But we have been working with students as young as 9 and as old as 18. And we know that in this age group, the ability to learn is so strong that when you give them the right tools, they are, those entrepreneurial skills do get built up. And the third thing we believe in is that entrepreneurship education is for every student. It is not just for students who aspire to be entrepreneurs. Of course, our mission is really to inspire more students to take up entrepreneurship and come out of schools and become the job creators and become the change makers for the country. But we also believe that even if a child is, the thinking skills that they develop, the entrepreneurial thinking skills, will serve them in good stead in those situations as well. And all said and done, it is a essential life skill. I think as COVID has taught us very recently that the world is unpredictable, and what we need to equip our students most is to really say, can I take any situation and make the most out of it? And that is what entrepreneurs do. They look at the environment, they see where the opportunities are, they have a huge amount of self-awareness, and they are able to build something of value for the world. So that is really our mission. We have been working with school students. We really feel it needs an ecosystem, and for that reason, I am so glad this conversation is happening here today. We have so many educators and eminent speakers, the Entrepreneurship School, MEPSC, Colonel Malhotra. So it is really now, I think at an India level, at a startup level, it has happened. Policy has come together. The VC ecosystem has developed in the last 15 years. And we also have the nuts and bolts, like the ease of doing business is a huge focus area now for the country. So, and that is why we've seen these 21 unicorns come out, right? Because the ecosystem has come together now for us as a country. And the same thing needs to happen at school level. And then there is going to be an even further bigger explosion of India on the world landscape, right? So for that, again, NEP has come and it has caused, it has given that impetus to this. And what we need to do now is, as educators, come together to create that ecosystem, whether it is sharing inspiring stories from the industry with school students, whether it is making sure that there is curriculum for teaching entrepreneurship at schools. And it is also about empowering teachers, so teacher training and creating an online space where students, or an entrepreneurship lab where students can come and create and get mentored. So that is what we are all about. We are on this mission to help create this ecosystem for school students, and very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Shivani. And while you were speaking, I made a very quick poll live. So to all the educators, I have a quick poll live, which is there on your screens. And we're looking for answers. I will share the response in a bit, but while you answer, I have a very short question to Colonel Pokhriya. Right, simple one. Should it be taught in schools?
Indeed, it has to be taught in school, because we really have to catch them young. And like Shivani just mentioned so emphatically and so clearly, that we really have got now the knowledge that between the age of 9 to 18, the kids are their creative best. Now, what is required is to really give them those tools, the direction, guidance, mentorship, and really, give them that system, ecosystem for them to flourish, to, ideate, to come up, try and fail, and try and, succeed also. So even if we try and succeed at a rate of just about 10 to 15%, that is a huge, big advantage to the entire country. The economy is going to go many times more, we will be more faster to the 5 trillion economy, as we say it, and with increasing the own GDP, of every citizen, it is going to be there is no negotiation. It is non-negotiable. It has to be done, and we really have to do it. It is high time. The country is now ripe and matured at that stage wherein this initiative has to be really pushed very vigorously by the all the stakeholders of the ecosystem. A big yes.
Right. So Colonel Pokhriyal, thanks for that answer. And I'm to all the friends who are watching, I'm sharing the results of the poll and you can see it on the screen, right? And I think Colonel, your answer is what everyone else is echoing. 66%, 111 people, they have said absolutely yes, right? 42 have said, so 25% have said probably yes. And I think there are 4% who say, no, it's too early, right? But the emphatic answer is that what you said, right? And that's the responsibility that has been bestowed at to MEPSC to take that onus. So I then have a question for Professor Mehrotra, and a simple one, sir. What grade do you think we should introduce this education? Because school is a complete spectrum, right? From nursery up to class 12, right? From the age group of maybe 3-4 years to about 16, 17, and these are formative years. So what grade?
Thank you. I think that's a very important question in that sense that if we look at the NEP, National Education Policy 2020, and it says that school or school complexes will be encouraged to hire local eminent person or experts in entrepreneurship to benefit students and help preserve and promote local knowledge and profession. It also says that we need to integrate entrepreneurship education into the curriculum, and we need to use technology for entrepreneurship education.
Wow.
Now, given that the policy directives we have, we need to integrate entrepreneurship or enterprise education in the schools. And it has to be mainstream, just like we say vocational education needs to go. Vocational education, just like we are saying vocational education needs to be mainstream, entrepreneurship education also has to be mainstream. Now, with regard to the stages that you have asked, world over, if we look at most of the countries, the European countries have introduced enterprise education. And we can start as early as possible. Why I'm saying that we can start even from grade 1. Now, what do we teach in grade 1? Success in life. Now, as Shivani has mentioned, life skills are very important. It cannot come over say in months or even a year. It takes years to acquire those life skills. So if you start early, the better it is, because it takes a lot of time to understand. Like when we are talking about situations, students will take so much of time to learn about different situations, how to work towards that opportunity. So the students will develop skills like personal finance, decision making, creative thinking, playway methods if we are using from grades 1 to 5. Then students would be able to understand, like piggy banks. If we give them piggy banks and ask them, because in our days we used to do that kind of saving. Now children, they don't do that. So we need to produce that kind of curriculum which helps children to learn in that way, the playway methods of learning about personal finance.
Right. So Professor Saab, I'll pause you here and please allow me, right. I'm putting question to Masroor Lodi, and Masroor, just to build on what Professor Mehrotra mentioned, that we can start, catch them young, right? That's the message. And then he also talked of a few of the tools and methods that, right. The question to you is, what does teaching entrepreneurship in school mean? Because that's the elephant in the room, right? So what does it actually mean? What do you think?
So I think all three of my co-panelists have set the context as far as the school education for entrepreneurship is concerned. Now, if we look at entrepreneurship, what is entrepreneurship, right? If we look at it, broadly speaking, there are two aspects to it, and this is very important for all of us to understand. The first one is, do I have the skills to create a venture? So that is one aspect of it. But even before that comes the mindset of the individual. Do I have the mindset of being an entrepreneur? And I think mindset is something which is, as Professor Sahab was mentioning, has to be built as early as possible. We can't wait for people to become entrepreneurs after they have crossed their college age. We have to build that mindset by building the values, right? Values of individual student back in the school itself. And which is where I fully agree with Professor Saab when he says that it could start as early as class 1, because that is the time when our kids are building their values. And that is where we need to start working on their mindset. Now, let me tell you, it's not just about creating ventures. Entrepreneurship, and we have all been hearing this, entrepreneurship is a life skill, which means it is not just needed for creating ventures. We advise a number of organizations, large organizations also, and they have got a value called entrepreneurialism. Ask the CEOs and the leadership of that organization, why have you put entrepreneurialism as one of your values? Because all of your people are your employees, they are not entrepreneurs. And he said that in a world, uncertain world that we are living in, we want even our employees to demonstrate the traits of entrepreneurship. And therefore, we need to build that entrepreneurship trait, that life skills really early on. Now, let me share with you an example. So we are class 7. Now, class 7 is very early for a lot of schools. But let me tell you, I saw those young kids brimming with so much of knowledge and understanding of entrepreneurship, mentorship, as Colonel Pokhriyal was mentioning. We need to help them understand one thing at a time, not bombard them with so many things. That can happen at the school level, because once they are out of the school, they anyways have chosen their path, their values have been built, their mindset has been created in some form or the other. In terms of operating parameters, I would say that we need to have stories. So for example, for school kids, we have stories of Saint Columbus, right? How did he venture out and discovered the new land for the world? So those are the stories that we need to create and try and bring those learning elements for our kids so that they can relate what entrepreneurship is. For a lot of people, entrepreneurship meaning is also very difficult to understand, especially at that level. So I think those are the things we need to do, Shivesh. Thank you.
Right. So thanks very much for making the point. And I think one point which you made sticks in my mind is, if you can't catch them young, when they go to college, it is too late. By that time, the mind has already set. And I think that would echo with all our panelists. Before I proceed to my next question, to all the people in the audience, I have another question which is going live in the poll. So आप लोग इसका आंसर कर सकते हैं. बहुत simple question है. Have you taught entrepreneurship at K-12 level? Right. So everyone can, whatever is your answer, please put in your answers. I'm waiting for. And while you put in the answers, I have a question for the lady in the panel. And the question is, okay, so Shivani, Masroor said that catch them young. Professor Mehrotra said catch them young. He also gave an example of stories, how to storify the teaching of entrepreneurship and those sort of things. The question to you is, what should be the approach of teaching entrepreneurship in schools?
Wow, okay. So I think the approach is driven by the learner, right? So we have to keep in mind who the new learner is. The new learner, the new student of today is not just absorbing information through the classroom. They are absorbing, they are on the internet, they have free access to courses from all across the world or learning from all across the world. So what we need to do for them is to give them the motivation to learn and the environment to allow them to learn and explore. So what we see again and again when we work with students today is that they constantly surprise us. We expect them to do a certain amount between 2 sessions, and they constantly come back and show us much more. So what we have found is once we can find that spark within a child, where the child gets excited about working on their own idea, about creating something of their own, they actually go out and do a lot of the learning on their own. We have had an 8th grader from Bombay come back overnight and show us a website. And, for us, we had to go back and say, how was this done? Because they find new tools, new ways to do things faster, better. We had a 11-year-old in Pune who created a multilingual website and used freely available tools to do that. So these kids are able to go out and create. What we need to allow them to do is to find themselves, find what they are passionate about, and get them excited about that learning. The other part is about creating an experiential learning environment. So I absolutely, loved how Masroor put it in terms of entrepreneurial mindset and skill set, and we build that. And then we add the experience part of it. So if you look at us as a country, even, even as adults, a lot of us have ideas, but we just don't know how to take those ideas further. So if we add this layer at school level, where we remove some of those barriers, where we remove that barrier, that hesitation, saying, if I have an idea, how do I take it further? How do I build it? Do I have the confidence to do it? Have I done it before in a small way at school level? Then we are really setting them up for success as they go through life. So
fantastic.
So back to you.
Yeah, Colonel, you have raised your hand. Just before that, I want to share something. People put in the question to the last poll, and I am sharing the results. And this is fantastic. I would request all panelists to applaud, because this is a surprise to me if you can see the results. It is 50-50, right? So 50% people here, they have taught entrepreneurship, right? And 50 no. I was really thinking that it's going to be 10-90 or something of that sort. But 50-50 is Professor Mehrotra, India is changing, isn't it? Right. So, Colonel Saab,
this is new India. Thank you, Shivesh. And I am just wanting to extend the theory which Shivani has just postulated. Actually, we really have to do the gamification. We have to do the simulation. We have to, really get their mind. And I was just trying to do a quick search on the internet. And do you know this Monopoly game was invented in 1935, 86 years back. And the age limit which is mentioned is 8+.
Yeah.
The skill sets which have been mentioned there is negotiation, strategy, finance management, all those things are the kid learns. And I remember why, because few days back, one of my wife's, nephews was here with us, and we were playing Monopoly. And this guy was negotiating so hard to buy a yacht or a bungalow or a car that we really had to sell it off to him. And in the bargain, he had amassed so much of wealth and so much of power that we really felt as if, we are stupid. And that young boy of 9 years was actually, defeating us in a game which we thought that we have all the skill sets and we have all the knowledge as to, what to do and how to do.
So, Colonel, just to build on the great example that you gave, and I think we had this conversation with Shivani, right, where we built the whole lesson plan with Monopoly. So today in classroom, we are bringing Monopoly and helping people understand whole of accounts, right? You can do whole of accounting using Monopoly. You can do whole of market capturing using, so marketing strategies using Monopoly. And I think those are the things which should be discussed more. And I think for all the teachers out here, use these games in classroom and make the classroom interesting. With that, I have a question to the Professor Mehrotra. because he's at NCERT who sets the tone and theme and everything, right? So Mehrotra Saab, question is, what should be the aim of entrepreneurship education, right? Masroor, although tried giving answer in bits of that, right? Is it building ventures? Is it enterprises, or building enterprising individuals?
So I think a lot of discussion has already gone into this, what you are asking, but just to supplement that, I would suggest that we divide that framework for entrepreneurship education or enterprise education, whatever you call, into 3 domains. One is success in life. How do we measure success in life? Not just by money, but by, as you rightly said, by the values that we need to, and Masroorji also said about this, that we need to inculcate values and work ethics. You know, we had a subject like moral science earlier, and Gandhiji had also said, we should not do business without ethics. Business has to be with ethics. So we need to develop that kind of value system, and that is what is entrepreneurship is all about. The second thing that we need to look at is how to create those abilities. I would not just confine it to the skills, but the abilities to take decision, to do creative thinking, socializing, because social science will definitely help students in learning about entrepreneurship. So we need to integrate all these things as part of the success in life, not just about money. So everything should not be centered, and this has been shown in the COVID pandemic that we have witnessed. It's not all about money, but it's important that we take care of our health. Health is the most important aspect of our life. So they should understand what is life, what is success in life. So this can go into grades 1 to 5. That's the framework I'm trying to build on. Now, when we talk of grades 6 to 8, which is, as NEP said, it's going to be middle stage now. So I talked about the foundational and preparatory stage. Now, in the middle stage, we can talk about what is success in employment. We just don't have to think of the wage employment, not just becoming doctors, engineers, or getting into lucrative professions. But how do we become productive citizens? And that is again what Gandhiji has talked about, 3 H's, linking head, heart, and hand. So we talked about heart from grades 1 to 5. Now we go to linking head and hand. So this we take up in the grades, that is the middle stage, grade 6 to 8. Where we talk about success in employment. So students would be developing the skills demanded by the employers. They will be exposed to the variety of tasks, not just by the people who are into occupation, various occupations or vocations, but also talking about self-employment. What is the need for self-employment, for promoting self-employment, and how do we make our economy competitive? Because we are now a global economy. So competition with other countries, like for example, China, or any other country, we need to tell our students that if we want to become a 5 trillion economy, then we have to do all these things. We have to be productive. And this has already been demonstrated by, I was wondering why we don't call housewives or housemakers as entrepreneurs. They are the best example. Like my mother used to, stitch sweaters and garments for us when we were little children, and this was entrepreneurship on. I mean, she used to innovate on those sweaters and things like that, but we never recognized them as entrepreneurs. So these entrepreneurship is not just about creating enterprises, but adding on to the economy of the country. So motivation and determination to achieve their goals should be the part of the curriculum at middle stage. Now, finally, when we talk of grades 9 to 12, which as per NEP, it is the secondary stage now. Earlier it was secondary and higher secondary. Now it is these 4 years have been termed as secondary stage. Now, during this stage, we need to encourage students to consider self-employment as a career option and equip them with the skills to become a successful business owner. So how to develop a project proposal, how to approach district industry centers, how to approach a bank, how to multiply your money when and what are the various aspects of finance. So these skills needs to build. So financial literacy needs to be more focused on at the secondary stage, because this is the area where most of the people they fail in their life. The entrepreneurs fail. So how to manage their funds and finances. So that is the not just because project proposals they can make even approaching the banks or DIC or institutions like that. But then managing the funds, nobody is going to help you when you are on. And we have witnessed many of them entrepreneurs have committed suicide because they were not able to manage finance. So this is the area where we need to focus at a later stage in colleges and universities, incorporating all these skills so that they are able to, build their enterprise. I have a story to tell. This one young guy called Anurag Dubey. He's a partner of this Chai Sutta bar. And he was traveling with me in a flight from Raipur to Bhopal. And he started talking to me. I mean, this is where the social skills comes into picture. He said, "Sir, aap kya karte?" I said, "I'm a professor at NCRT." "Oh, fine. Oh, I'm so and so. I have a enterprise called Chai Sutta Bar." I said, "What is the name that you're given?" "Chai Sutta Bar." So he said, "No, sir, it's just to attract young. And we are using eco-friendly products. We are not allowing any smoking in our stores. And we are just selling chai, and this is all masala chai and different flavors and things like that." So this is the innovation that they have come out. So as Shakespeare had said, what's in the name? So they looked at that. And he was an aspirant for IAS. And he left that. He said, "No, I'm not any more interested in becoming an IAS. I want to start my own venture." Now he's into many countries and he has a turnover of almost 100 crore. So I invited him in the World Youth Skills Day celebration. He came and he addressed the young children. And what was the impact of that? The children started telling about the ventures that they would start. Some said, "I want to get into automotive and I want to innovate into parts of the automobiles."
Yeah.
This is the impact that we need to build on. We need to invite such entrepreneurs in schools, and they should interact on a large scale, not on a small scale, with children. And we should ask those children that, "Now you tell us, what do you want to do in your life?" So you would find suddenly they would change because they will be so inspired by the stories of these young entrepreneurs.
Yes, Professor. So role models, and the moment you see role models like you and they are near to you and they are real, and you think ye mere jaisa hai, so main bhi aisa ho sakta hu, and that's how the moments of inspiration or the sparks come, right?
Right.
Friends, to all the panelists, I'll move to the next part. And since we agree on it should be taught, and we have discussed few of the models or frameworks through which it can be taught, I come to the difficult question for today, right? And before I come to the difficult question, to all the people who are putting in the chat box, there is no need to put your attendance here, right? So no need to say that you are from such and such school, and it's not required. What is required is, अगर आपकी ज़हन में कोई भी सवाल हो तो उसे जरूर वहां पे लिखिए. Do not, if you have a question, please write. Don't crowd the chat box with your school name, etc. We already have all that name and all the things, right? So please ask your question, because this is a golden opportunity for everyone to ask question to the esteemed panelist, right? So Colonel, I have a question for you. right? And to the audience, I am moving to the maybe the second last part of the discussion, which is the challenge, right? So if entrepreneurship has to be taught, what is the quantum of challenge? And Colonel, just to we all know that India is big, 1.35 billion, that is 1350 or 1350 million people, about 300 million करके कर्नल साहब सवाल ये है कि 100 मिलियन बच्चों को एंटरप्रेन्योर बनाना है हिंदुस्तान में, कैसे होगा ये?
Yeah, a very good question, but then a difficult one, like you said. But then why should we take an easy option? Because India is known to be doing something which, since ancient ages, we have been the wishful guru. We are the country with the theme as Vasudev Kutumbakam. We were the knowledge house since ancient centuries. Now people are coming out ki the circumference of the sun is this much, the distance between sun and earth is this much. जब वो हनुमान जी जितना छलांग लगा के गए थे, that distance, how it was calculated, how the aeroplane, now a university in Colombia has come up. There was a spaceship which was airship at that point of time, that it is a working model. It has been given in our ancient scriptures. So we have been a knowledge house for the entire world, universe. So हमारे लिए ये सारी चीजें मुश्किल नहीं है. Only thing is, yes, we really have to start believing in and start working on. And I think the society and the country is at that juncture now that we really can find solutions. And in the manner that, so many unicorns are coming up, so many, technological advancements are taking place. Couple of years back, maybe, 5-10 years back, you couldn't have imagined that with only a mobile, now you can operate your bank. You don't need a calculator, you don't need timer, you don't need recorders, you don't need a camera to now conducting all your business. Now with Paytm, with so much of e-commerce coming in, the life has entirely changed. Why it has changed is because the man is continuously growing, and that is the innate urge which we really have to come to that. So we really have to ignite that kind of a passion. Now, how do we do it? We really have to, go at a mass scale, at a scalable model, wherein we really have to touch the districts, the schools, the states at the farthest of the northeast and farthest of the south or the west, and we really have to catch them young. We really have to, ecosystem wherein first we arm the gurus, the teachers with the requisite knowledge. We really have to, come up with a short, intense, focused kind of a module to prepare them, give them, arm them with the wherewithal and the skill sets, how to impart this kind of a knowledge, from their mind, from their experience, from the learnings which you do, and give it to the kids at the impressionable age. Now, how to do it? So MEPSC is being the Sector Skill Council nominated for the entrepreneurship under the Skill India mission. We are willing to shoulder this responsibility and take it to the scales which is required. So we are coming up with a module for all the teachers, for all the gurus, to give you those wherewithal and the skill sets, how to impart those kind of knowledge in a very small, 2, 3, 4 days of a capsule, not very, generic, but then the requisite knowledge and the points which are very, very essential to transfer that knowledge, give that ideas and put that seed into the young minds so that they start doing it. Then we should, like I mentioned, gamification is the way forward. We really have to do simulations, gamifications at the school level for the kids at the regional, district, national level, at the countrywide level. We really have to have that kind of a ecosystem wherein we compete and we try and get ideas and try and work on those ideas, and then there will be a set of industry, the entrepreneurs like Shivani's organization and many more such mentors will come on board. And like as Professor Mehrotra mentioned, the NEP also talks about the local industrialist or businessmen coming up and getting aligned with the school system and be the role model and mentors. So there has to be a national movement. that national movement has to be, undertaken by each section of the society. We as a sector council for the skilling, Professor Mehrotra's organization, NCRT, CBSC, UGC at all levels, and the organizations of the VC, the mentors and the handholding organizations, which Shivani and her team can get. And you as the entrepreneurship school, which has already incubated and germinated 200 plus enterprises, we really have to come together, talk with the government at the local level, at the central level, and come up with the policies and the framework to really galvanize this entire effort of all the stakeholders involved.
Thanks, Colonel. Very, very energizing. And just to let my audience be part of your movement. Yeah. So to the audience, if you believe that you want to join this movement, you can use the chat box to type Y. Y means yes, you want to be part of the movement that Colonel Pokhriyal with his organization MEPSC wants to create. So I'm looking at all the chat answers, right? And my colleague Rishabh, you will have to tell me how many Ys we have got. And before I move,
or maybe you take a poll, Mr.
No, I will. I have another poll right now, but I'm looking at why, because this is something which came impromptu. And I'm going to ask question now to Masroor Lodi. But before that, Masroor, I need a permission to make a poll live. So to all the audience members, I'm going to make a poll live. और ये poll में सवाल बहुत simple है. What challenges would you face? What challenges would you face if teaching entrepreneurship is made compulsory for each subject? Mind you, I have a very sharp question. If teaching entrepreneurship is made compulsory for each subject, अगर आप biology पढ़ाते हैं तो भी compulsory होगा entrepreneurship, और अगर आप sociology पढ़ाते हैं तो भी entrepreneurship compulsory होगी. Political science पढ़ाते हैं तब भी compulsory है, और अगर आप math पढ़ाते हैं तब भी compulsory है. So I'm launching this poll, and you can put in your answers. You can choose multiple choices. So you can put more on, you can select more options. There are a few options out there. So friends, the poll is live. I'm looking at responses from you. Multiple options you can select, and the poll is live, right? So Masroor, while the poll goes live, I have a question for you, and a very simple question. You have interacted with teachers in school all across the country, right? How prepared are the teachers? Mr. Masroor Lodi, you are on mute. You can unmute and speak.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what one of our audiences was doing, because this is incredible. So Shivesh, that's a very pertinent question. And before I give you that answer, which I believe, in my opinion, let me draw an analogy. So I think, friends, entrepreneurship, if you really look at it, it's about two things. One is building the ability to imagine, yeah, building the ability to visualize things when there exists none. And this is the job of an artist.
Wow.
Right? This is the work of an artist. But the moment the artist's work is over, or it keeps going on, the next is the art of a scientist or an executioner to make things happen, right? So what we are building in the form of entrepreneurs is nothing but many, many more Leonardo da Vinci's in this world, who are able to bring both the art and the science together. And therefore, it cannot be delayed any further. It has to happen as soon as possible, right? And with that, I come to Shiveshji's question, and therefore Shiveshji's question becomes really important, that our teachers at the school level need to build that capability to execute entrepreneurship programs for their students. Now, we have worked with a number of schools across the country, including colleges at the higher education level. And let me tell you, we are invited by those schools, and let me tell you, these are some of the top schools in the country, and the chains in the country, which run about 150 schools, 200 schools across the country. When they invite us, the need is very clear. We believe in the entrepreneurship education. The intention is also very clear, but we want the program to be run by experts. Now, that means that the school authorities or the principals or the leadership at the school level is suggesting to us is this, very simple, that we want to inculcate entrepreneurship education for our students, but we also want our teachers to build on their desire to teach entrepreneurship, but there is an important element of building their capability also. And I have seen those teachers who got involved in our program, they were thoroughly enjoying, because they said a lot of it is so commonsensical. I can see this, as Professor Saab was mentioning, that our mothers are entrepreneurs, our wives are entrepreneurs in houses, but we don't talk about it. The same thing is visualized by our teachers as well. But to put together a program and to deliver a program of entrepreneurship, you need certain skills, and which is where I think the strong foundation of desire is in place, intentions are in place. I think we still need to work on this, or any other subjects for that matter, mathematics or social science. We need a structure, and that structure needs to be, in a way taught and imbibed by our teachers. Then we can see that our teachers are also absolutely ready. But the strong foundation is what I can see, Shivesh.
Right, Masoor, there were questions. There were some, questions in the chat box, and I was engaging with them. But friends, I'm going to share the results of the poll of the last question, and I can see something very interesting. And I'd also urge my fellow panelists to look at the results very carefully. Right. So what challenges would you face if teaching entrepreneurship is made compulsory for each subject? The challenge, Professor Mehrotra, people are saying designing curriculum could be cumbersome. So that's something that is there. Absence of learning materials, Shivani. Then Masoor, there are very few people who say that don't know what to teach. So that's, that is very encouraging. Not aware of the approach, Colonel Saab, not aware of the approach or pedagogical tool for teaching entrepreneurship, right? So कैसे पढ़ाना है, इसके बारे में awareness हमें create करना होगा. Then Mehrotra Saab, we discussed something which is learning by doing. So classroom is not designed for learning by doing courses, right? So something about classroom design. And Shivani, again, not sure about assessment methods. So some of the things that you are doing, how to break the assessment methods into simple things where art can be made into science, as Masroor said, right? So I stopped sharing the result and I come back to my questions, right? And this time the question is to Professor Mehrotra, a very short question, right? How can we achieve learning by doing in classrooms?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question, which your poll has also highlighted. How we need to go for that kind of pedagogical approach, because we have been talking about in this National Curriculum Framework 2005 that we need to shift from the rote learning methods to experiential learning methods. But given the population of students that we have in classrooms, which varies from 40 to 70 at times, which is not a good number per se, because the classroom ratio, I mean, 1:25 or maximum 30 should be there. And RTE has emphatically focused on that. But since we know that we have so much of student population and we need to cater to that. So the best thing that we can do is that we reduce the curriculum load. That's one aspect that we need to take care of. We can cull out those skills which are overlapping. Why I'm focusing on skills is that when it comes to knowledge, there's a lot of information available in the world now through internet, through other sources. But when it comes to skills, we need good trainers or master trainers to impart those skills. So the first thing that we need to bring about a change is that we should train teachers, particularly through the B.Ed programs or the D.Ed programs or those programs, diploma programs where we are preparing teachers. So we need to focus more on hands-on training for the teachers rather than just talking about so much about the subject or pedagogy and things like that, the various methods that we can use. I'll give you one simple example. We have come out with the employability skills module in which there are 5 components. So these are communication skills, self-management skills, entrepreneurship skills, ICT skills, and green skills. So for the first time, we have introduced green skills, and recently we have got the European Training Foundation Award also for introducing this green skills. So these are the innovative ideas that we need to incorporate as part of the employability skills that we have done. So teachers have to innovate on teaching. So pedagogical approach has to be such that students, they become curious. They ask questions a lot of, like you are doing. Shiveshji, you are doing this. I could see the polling and activities are, although we are online, we are not just talking. Right. We are doing so many things together. Yeah. This is the approach that teachers can. So cognitive skills that we can do. So creating awareness, special training, community awareness, school industry collaboration that we have talked about, like inviting entrepreneurs from the industry and talking about how they are managing their businesses, mentorship and guidance, changing the pedagogical approach from experiential, from the rote learning to experiential learning, developing lesson plans, which actually help a student to understand the application of the knowledge. Right. We don't have such lesson plans as such because we focus mostly on the knowledge aspect. But how we do that? And then one of the very important aspects is we help students to apply their knowledge by taking them out of the classrooms. Like classroom should be such that they do a lot of activities in the classroom, and when they go out, we talk about knowledge. So it has to be reversed. What we have been doing is we have benches and chairs in our classroom, which is cluttering the whole classroom. We have to do away with this concept of benches. Earlier we had gurukuls, and gurukuls were there in the field, not in the classroom. And the guru was having just a hut where they used to live, but the students were asked to go to the jungles, to the field and collect material from there and come back, and the guru used to discuss about those materials. Right. ये किस चीज का बना है, ये ऐसा क्यों टेढ़ा मेढ़ा क्यों है, ये सीधा क्यों नहीं है, इसमें कौन से कीड़े लगे हुए. So the classroom should not be just textbook oriented or teacher centered. It has to be whatever material students have collected from the field, they can discuss. ये हमने resources लेके आए, इसको हम कैसे business enterprise में या enterprise में कैसे हम इसको change कर सकते हैं in resources. Fantastic. Like Tendu Patta, tribals have been doing it for years. Who told them? कि तेंदु पत्ता को हमें कैसे utilize कर? There was no teaching.
So the factory model of education, what we lament, right? We have got disconnected with real issues, and then we get lost into textbook. Textbook को finish करना है, जबकि जो जीवन की जो समस्याएं हैं, जो जीवन की जो सच्चाई है, उससे कैसे हम बच्चों को उसके निकट लाते हैं. I think those are the things which is important.
And we have to start early. That is why I said success for life or success of life. We have to teach it right from the beginning. ये success है क्या? Success ये है कि हम हाथ से क्या कर रहे हैं? Dignity of labor. Working with hands. All these things will lead to success in life. But we have not been teaching that.
Right. Professor Saab, Colonel Pokhriyal has raised his hand. Colonel Saab, agar aap one quick point.
So Professor Mehrotra touched few points, and then it brought some memories of incidents.
Can I request everyone to be on mute if you're not speaking? Yeah.
So what is जब Professor Mehrotra बता रहे थे, so MEPSC as the only sector skill council mandated for entrepreneurship, the government, the Secretary of Government of India of Ministry of Skill Development, as the chairperson of the PMKY, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana Steering Committee, the government was sensitized, but they took that decision that we really have to mass scale it. So they asked us to come out with a module which will be given to all the students beneficiaries of this Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, which is the flagship skilling scheme for the government of India, to teach them about English, entrepreneurship, and employability. Wow. What Professor Mehrotra mentioned, and we have already certified more than 50,000 candidates, and we have been awarded by Golden Peacock Award, National Skilling Award by the government of Haryana, and many such organizations. Total 6 awards we have got it. Why? Because this is a program which has been culled out by getting the ideas from the academicians, practitioners, from all the stakeholders in the ecosystem. About 50-60 stakeholders were there who gave the idea, culled out this kind of a table of content. The course curriculum, model curriculum was devised, and then it was accepted by the PMKY steering committee, and it has been enforced under the scheme. Point which Professor Mehrotra is saying is absolutely valid. We really have to give this kind of a knowledge, wherein you give the financial literacy, the digital literacy, the employability skills, the leadership, communication, negotiation skills, so many facets which are so very important for these impressionable minds at the right age. If you really give them those skill set, they'll start thinking. They really have to just guide it. And what is being done is MEPSC, as the training and assessment, is also a mandate with us. So for teachers and assessors, so all these questions in your last poll, what was there, MEPSC has developed the curriculum, the pedagogical tools as to how to transfer that knowledge from the minds of the teacher or the trainers to the student's mind, and how to take away from the rote learning to the learning outcomes or the outcome based skilling concept. That is what MEPSC is doing, and we really want to take this moment at a very, very mass scale with all the gurus here as part of the ecosystem, and many more will be joining us in future.
So to all the members of audience and to my esteemed panelists, right? I think one of the things which I would really want all of us is if you can share your email IDs for people that they can reach out to you whenever they are in need, because most of them are teachers, and they will have real issues, real challenges. And if they should know that these are the doors to be knocked whenever they have any question to ask, right? So can I request all of you to put your in the chat box, put your email IDs for them to come. To all the teachers, yes, so please ask your questions to the panelists anytime, whenever you're stuck, and I know that they are going to help. If Shivani, I have a question for you, but before I go to you, I have one last poll for all the audience members, and this poll is fairly simple again, and this is on what tools do you use to teach entrepreneurship. So I'm making the poll live, and while the poll goes live, in 30 seconds, then Shivani, I'll ask you the question. So to audience members, you can put in your response, you can put one or more correct options. So there are multiple choice options. You can choose many options, not necessarily only one option. So what are the tools that you use to teach entrepreneurship, right? So with that, okay. So here's my question, and this is perhaps the last question and then we'll look at the way forward, right? So Shivani, how do we train educators to teach something which is learned through a lived experience, right? So entrepreneurship is, all of us say that, when I started teaching entrepreneurship, they said, nahi padha sakte, ye to aadmi ko mehsoos karna hota hai, right? And we have come a long way from that journey. So over to you.
So absolutely, I think the challenge is immense for a country like ours, right? I mean, we have more passionate teachers and gifted students than many other countries have teachers and students. So the scale is so large. I think what is going in our favor is the fact that we are now considered a leader in technology. And over the last 30 years, the competency as a tech nation has only grown. So the answer lies in technology, right? Especially for a subject like entrepreneurship, where it is not a one size fits all. Each individual approaches, it's like the elephant and the five blind men. It's each person has their own experience of entrepreneurship. So how do we enable that? What we are experimenting with is a tech platform right now. And the idea there is to create a multi-tiered experience. So if as schools come on board the platform, we have teachers from those schools come in and we create a group with those school students, and there is a curriculum to empower that journey. So the teacher has access to curriculum, the teacher is able to deliver those classes in the classroom, and the students are able to share their ideas and work through the platform. And then what we are able to do is create scale, because as students progress through the journey, those who need more mentorship, right, from places like the Entrepreneurship School or Thinkstartup, we are able to then pick those students who need that extra support, and we are able to take them to the next level. And then the students who go even further, who start their ventures while they are still at school, they need even more support, they need funding. So we run a student venture fund to support that, and that creates the ecosystem. So it's a pyramid tech platform that will allow us to do this at scale, and also it allows us to reduce cost of operation, right? Because we know that at a district level we have only so much budget per child. So then we are really able to use this kind of a platform to scale that learning, and also give students a path beyond. The students who are really passionate and motivated, they are able to continue the journey with us. So that would be my answer. We add more to it, case studies, more gamification, as Colonel Pokhriyal you mentioned. So that's the vision of I think taking entrepreneurship to schools and creating that ecosystem and empowering teachers.
Right. So Shivani, fantastic. And I think the answer that you are proposing is leverage technology as much as possible. 100 million, right? And if we have to do 100 million, challenge is that big. I will share the result of this poll, and maybe there's a nudge from Shivani to all the people who have answered, right? So without much ado, let me first share the results of the poll, and then there is something which is interesting out there, right? So somewhere I find that use of MOOC is the least preferred option, right? And perhaps as we who are here right now, and also for policymakers, I think the message from Shivani is, don't just make move, use technology to create an integrated platform where all the things are there available at one place, right? So MOOC is not just a lesson plan, but an integrated technology platform where you can have case studies, you can have online lessons, you can have online simulations, and then that starts becoming, you can have online funding pitches, and then something of that sort starts becoming interactive. It becomes high impact kind of thing, right? So that's the suggestion that is coming from our panelists. Friends, I am looking at my watch. It is 12:24. From the promised time, we are about only 6 minutes away, right? To all the people in the audience, if you have any question, please put in the chat box. I will take, but please, you can put in your, you can put in your answers in the chat box, and we will pose it to the panelists. But before we close, one point only from each one of you. So as way forward, Colonel Saab, one suggestion, only one, not 2, 3, 4. One suggestion for policymakers, the top of the mind.
Very tricky, you said only one.
Only one. Okay, 2.
Okay, so we really have to, mass scale it. So there has to be a program for the teachers and for the students. Teachers to do the pedagogical skills training, and students as to how to understand, imbibe, and then take it forward. So
mass scaling. Yeah. So the point is that we have to really think mass, large scale, right? So that is the policy prescription that you would pose. Professor Mehrotra, what is one missing piece in the education ecosystem to make entrepreneurship education happen?
Okay, so as I said, we need to really shift from rote learning, because the mindset with the teachers is without textbooks, we cannot teach. But a good teacher is always a good motivator. If
right.
you are
So I take that point, sir. Rote learning, but rote learning we all know. But in terms of ecosystem, if we have to think of an ecosystem, is there any critical piece which is missing?
So I would say that we need to, train our teachers very well on this particular aspect, which has not happened. Right. So we need, as Shivani has said, we need to use ICT as a tool to reach out to all the teachers so that they realize the importance of enterprise education or entrepreneurship development. And
again, mass scale, you're saying.
Yeah,
mass scale, because what Colonel Saab is saying and what you were saying, mass scale training of teachers, right?
Because the impact we can see only when we have this kind of massification of education.
Okay.
Which has not been there. We are just looking at, like teachers said, 50% of them have been teaching entrepreneurship. But what about the rest 50%? So we look at the glass which is empty, not the glass which is full. So that is the mistake I would say we have been doing. We're not looking at, we are happy that we have, taught 50% of the teachers. We have trained 50. No, that's not an achievement.
Yeah.
But if you look at the glass which is empty, we are
still very big.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, I was only thinking it was 10. So 50 was looking like a big number to me.
That's
so
my
mistake.
Yeah,
I accept.
We have to always look at the
Right. Masroor, question for you. What enabling ecosystem should we build that startups start going to school? Why are startups like Flipkarts and Amazons and all these big guys like Olas and Ubers, they are not going to schools?
Yeah, Shivesh, very pertinent question. And there is a win-win. There is a win-win for both the startup world as well as the school world when they both interact. Because what I believe is, as you rightly mentioned, startups are not going back to their schools. But believe me, and I was speaking to one of the CEOs of the largest telecom company of our country, and he said that I want to be among the youngsters. And the reason of being with the youngster is that it keeps my creativity on. It keeps my creativity absolutely fresh, which is so much needed in uncertain times like these. So even these startups, which have been built on a creative idea, they need to go back to the school to keep their creative juices on. They need to go back there, and therefore the schools need to make the entire arrangement in such a manner that is more than welcoming the startup world. That is what I think is important. The question that you asked, Colonel Pokhriyal, what needs to be done? I think he said something very important, and I would agree with it. I think teaching entrepreneurship, just like teaching any other subject, is not a one-layer work. It's a multi-layer work. And unless we start a movement from the government policy making side, it is not going to happen. We have to engage all stakeholders, and which is where I think Thinkstartup of Shivani Kapoor is doing a good job. We need to engage multiple stakeholders, then only we can have an impact in entrepreneurship education at a school level. That's my humble submission.
Thanks, Masroor. I was just putting a message for everyone in the chat box that the recording of this, the proceedings of this webinar would be live at a YouTube link, and people can note that link. We'll also put the same link on the WhatsApp group that people would have joined. Shivani, the question is for you, right? This is the last one, and I really go silent after this. Okay. If I am the school principal, what is one thing that I should be doing?
Okay. So you changed the question on me. I had my, let me give the, the answer because I really do want to say this.
Yeah.
I think it needs a top-down. So the one thing missing in the ecosystem is the top-down energy flowing into our school system. And, I visualize this national level youth ideathon where government, corporates, educators come together and we run this annual ideathon event. What that one thing does for us is create so much energy in the system, gets the principals involved, gets the teachers involved, gets all of us involved, and helps us showcase what comes out of it, and also helps us encourage schools and teachers that are doing it well. So that would be the one thing I would love to propose and help with. And as a principal, I think just I'm not sure. Top of my head.
I can fill up for Shivani there, though she has answered it, but she is not finding the right words to probably pin it together. So it is actually, as a principal, I would reach out to all the startups to adopt the schools, come up and motivate and give the life lessons to the students in an auditorium. Let's say 1,000 students. There is a 1 hour lecture or 1 hour topic which has been taken by the entrepreneurs. Organize that as a principal. Reach out to organizations like Thinkstartup to ideate as to what all can be done. Reach out to organizations like TES as the Sector Skill Council for Entrepreneurship. Reach out to Professor Mehrotra for help in curriculum development and working out. So, and reach out to the Entrepreneurship School because you have already created an ecosystem of strong 200 young entrepreneurs and startups. So, sky is the limit. Principals have to be thinking while standing and really reach out to all that knowledge which is available, all that resources which is available, and just go all out, because you'll be creating a total different society. You have to change the mindset of the student, of the parents. In your PTM, insist on the parents as to change the mindset कि इसको job के लिए नहीं तैयार करना, इसको self employment के लिए तैयार करना है. Students को बताना है कि don't go for सरकारी नौकरी. Yesterday I was surprised. In front of my society there is a government school in Sector 2 Dwarka. There would have been almost 500 cars, scooters and students, candidates appearing. And this was an exam for a peon. It was a grade 4.
That is the tragedy of India.
That is what. So we have to change that mindset. I was appalled that there were many senior candidates who were also sitting there to take that kind of exam. Come out of that mold. Don't undersell yourself. There is sea of opportunity which is lying there for you to actually go explore and make a killing and a life for yourself, for the family, for the country, for the student themselves.
Fantastic. Masroor, you want to add something? After that, I just want to
yeah, Shivesh,
request something on behalf of all teachers with the industry leader who is here.
Great. One quick thing. I think the role of principal is extremely critical, Shivesh. And I think he needs to act like an evangelist of entrepreneurship education. So what Colonel Pokhriyal just mentioned, that is the action that person has to do. Be an evangelist, right? So that is one. The other thing I think which is extremely important is if you really look at the entrepreneurship education, and some of the members from the audience have mentioned this, that it is considered as a peripheral subject. It is not core, right? It is considered as something which you can take if it is compulsory then. But I think it has to be included at the center stage. It has to be brought at the center stage. Unless it comes to the center stage, nothing can happen. Thank you.
Right. Masroor, again, great point, right? So principals have to be evangelists. And Colonel Pokhriyal and to all the esteemed members, first of all, many thanks for giving wonderful ideas. But I have one request. Actually, we need to do a focused webinar, seminar with principals on how to evangelize entrepreneurship education. And I think this panel is very good and something is that we must espouse. And to all the school teachers, when we send you the communication, please do ask your principals to be part of that, because only then the movement begins, right? So that's number one. The other thing which I wanted to request to MEPSC on behalf of all teachers is, Colonel Saab, can we think of institution, because I was pleasantly surprised, despite only 50%, glass half empty, right? I was pleasantly surprised that there's so much of learning already available with 50% of the teachers here. So can we create showcasing your entrepreneurship education on MEPSC platform, and then also award teachers?
Very good idea, Mr. Shivesh. And indeed, MEPSC, like we said in the beginning, we would try and come up with an award just to not only to reward or honor the skill sets of a person, but also to motivate thousands of the capability of the transformers which you are, the guru. Teacher is actually is not the real translation of our rich word guru. So आप जो हमारे गुरुओं को हमें आइडेंटिफाई करना है, उनको पब्लिसाइज करना है, उनको मोटिवेट करना है, उनको रिस्पेक्ट देना है, सो दैट हमारे और जो गुरु हैं जो छिपे हुए हैं वो बाहर निकल के आए, एंड देन दे स्टार्ट दिस मास मूवमेंट. We really have to have that one light which will light the fire in a forest. That is what we really have to do.
Fantastic. So with that wonderful word, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for participating in this webinar. We have to really, we are looking for that light who can light the forest, right? Who can set the forest on fire. And that is the challenge which is there. I think there are enough solutions out there. And I think as a participant and as a member of that ecosystem, we are all there with you to help you and support you in any of the manner you are you're taking up this cause of entrepreneurship. And there is enough material available. With that, let's close. The YouTube link will be available I am putting it again in the chat for everyone. And yeah, so if you want, you can rewatch this webinar again, and hope to see you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Shabak khair. Best to all of you. Regards.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mehrotra, Shivani, Masroor, and Mr. Shivesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all the teachers and the students who have been part of this. We really are fortunate to be amongst you. We really want to reach out to the entire country. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.